Good day, everyone, and thank you for stopping by to listen to me discuss stories that I enjoy. Tonight, I wanted to talk about stories that have to do with secrets. Think about Genesis and the tree of knowledge and the forbidden fruit. Adam and Eve are prohibited from eating from this tree. They disobey God. They take a bite from the apple, so to speak, and they learn things about themselves. When you think about that story and think about your own life and the people that you've known, and how well do you know them, and how well do they know you? And there are things about you you don't want them to know, and there are things about them you did not want to know. But once you do know, what do you do? The first story I want to talk about is by Chekhov. And this is in his collected stories. This is the Modern Library edition. And the first story is called The Doctor. In this story, the way it opens is you have a woman named Olga. She's standing by a window looking at a flower bed. She's distraught. Her 9-year-old son is dying. She's speaking to a man sitting not that far behind her, who's also the doctor of the child. And she's telling him that she can't lose this boy. He is a treasure to her. And she has a regret that after he was born, she wanted to give him up for adoption. The boy must live. She's torn up, completely torn up. The doctor doesn't say a word. He's waiting to say something to her, though. He's waiting. In the meantime, he gets up to go check on the boy, whose name is Misha. He sits by his bed. Again, he's 9 years old. The boy is not complaining about any pain. He has a brain tumor. The doctor says, "How are you?" And the boy says, "I've been dreaming." "Dreaming of what?" "Oh, lots of things." The doctor says, "Do you know who I am?" The boy does not answer. The doctor then returns to the drawing room. The woman is still by the window. He's about to leave, though, to come back the next day. But he has to ask her something. And he goes to her. And he says, "Olga, I need to know the truth. Is the boy mine?" She hesitates in her answer and says yes. Makes him angry. He doesn't believe her. Why? Because she has told her husband the boy is his. She has told a lawyer friend that the boy is his for their financial help. The doctor has been helping the Jew financially and looking after him all these years. But now we come to a point, a crossroad. He needs to know the truth. Is the boy his? The story is like five pages long. But in those 5 pages, Chekhov encompasses the entire human condition. Because you can see it from her point of view. You can see it from his point of view. The doctor's point of view. Olga's point of view. Love is something that's very selfish. I know it sounds like a paradox, or it sounds like nonsense, but I don't think so. Love is extremely selfish. And in this story, it gets to the heart of the matter. The Doctor by Chekhov. But then that got me thinking of the Decalogue. The Decalogue were a series of films done in Poland in the late 80s by the great director Kieslowski. And you can find these films on the Criterion Channel. And the Decalogue. There are 50-minute episodes, each one based on one of the commandments. They take place in the present, in a high-rise tenement in Warsaw. And there are 2 episodes that I'll briefly discuss, which are just extremely powerful. And the first, which is the second Decalogue, which is, "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain." You have a woman in her 30s named Dorota, whose husband is very, very ill. The doctor lives in the same high-rise she does, and whenever she sees him, she confronts him. She wants to meet with him. The doctor insists, "You have to come in during my hours." And when they finally meet, she said, "I need to know one thing." Because what do you need to know? Is my husband going to live or die? And she's insistent. She needs to know. The doctor says, "I can't tell you. He's very ill, but I really can't tell you. Miracles happen all the time." She says, "I need to know." And she's insistent on this. And finally the doctor says, "Why do you need to know? What's the immediacy here?" And she says the following: "For many years I've wanted to have a child." And she suggests that her husband is infertile. She is now pregnant, but the father of the child is not her husband. And she has decided she loves her husband. She does not want to hurt him. That if he is going to live, she will terminate the pregnancy, have an abortion. But if he dies, she desperately wants a child. She will keep the child. She's now 3 months pregnant. She's running out of time. So she needs to know. And now the story now puts on the, and she wants the doctor to swear to her that he will tell her the truth. Now, those of you familiar with Kieslowski, The Double Life of Veronique, if you've seen the Decalogue, or his trilogy of Red, White, and Blue, you know his stories are extremely complicated. They're like a Chekhov story. Just when you think it goes one direction, no, you get another layer, and then another layer, and then another layer of the human condition. And that's exactly what happens here. Now, the second episode that I'm fascinated by is Decalogue 4, "Honor thy father and thy mother." Now, the way this episode opens, you see it takes place on Easter Monday, and again in this tenement, in this high-rise apartment. And you have this young woman, like in her 20s, and she has a little gown. She's feeling a jug of water in the kitchen. She rushes into the bedroom, and you see this man under the sheets, an older man. And she pours water on him, and he begins to chase her. He goes into the kitchen, fills up the water. She's now in the restroom, and in the bathroom, and she's in the tub. Now she's got a gown over her, and he throws water on her. And when he does, you can see, her breasts, her thighs. But you see the man feels a little bit uncomfortable. Now you, the viewer, you're thinking, this is a couple. But you're wrong. We soon learn that it's not a couple. It's a father and his daughter. That's how the episode opens. But now we get to the conflict in the story. The father goes away on a trip, and he leaves among his belongings a letter that his daughter has seen, her name is Anna, over the years. But she's never asked him about it. But now the letter is lying on his desk, and what does the letter say? "Not to be opened before my death." It's his handwriting. He always carries it with him on business trips, but this time he left it behind. She's holding it, and she decides to open it. And when she opens it, there's another envelope inside that envelope. And this one says, "For my daughter Anna." And it's written in a different handwriting, a feminine handwriting. Anna's mother died when she was 5 days old. Complications from childbirth. Anna begins to look at old photographs of her mother. She looks strikingly like her. And when a friend comes by, a friend of her father's, who knew her mother, she asks him, "How was my mother?" And what does he say? First, you look just like her. Second, your mannerisms are just like her. The daughter has been studying acting. And during a scene with her acting coach and another actor where they're in love, she's having trouble faking it, being in love. And the director's getting on her about this. She can't fake it. When her father returns from his trip, she confronts him and she tells him that she's opened a letter. And she's opened her mother's letter, where her mother says that this man is not her father. Something she has always suspected her entire life, and it has affected her relationship with men. Because whenever she's with these young men that she's made love to, she feels guilty because she misses and thinks about her own father, who is not her father. Or is that the case? Again, this is a Kieslowski story. It's like a Chekhov story. This is not where the story ends. Oh, not at all. It's going to take another layer after this. And how it ends, like the Chekhov story, it leaves you to think, what has happened here? And what would you do if you were in the same situation as they were? Because this has to do with love. Love. There's love between father and daughter, and love between a man and a woman. The last story I want to discuss is by James Salter, American writer. And the story is called Last Night. You can find it in this collection. I came across this story in the 2000s in the New Yorker. I wasn't familiar with Salter, but I read this story last night, and when this collection came out, I bought it, and I bought some of his other books. And what's the story about? Briefly, is you have a dinner party taking place. You have this man named Walter and his wife, Merritt. They're about middle-aged. They invite a friend, which Merritt insisted she come, a 29-year-old woman that they both know. Her name is Susanna. They go have a nice dinner, and they come back to the house. But there's something somber. There's a somber atmosphere to this story. Why? Merritt has cancer. It began in the uterus, has moved up to the lungs. She no longer wants to live. So tonight, with the help of her husband, she will end her life. Her doctor has a syringe in the refrigerator. Their medical doctor has given a certain medication to end his wife's life. But they wanted to spend this final night together with a friend of theirs, but no family. Now, they have no children of their own, but other family members are not invited. They're not even made previous to what's about to happen, but their friend Susanna is. Before he goes up to the bedroom to inject his wife, Walter has some words with Susanna. Susanna says, "I can't be here." And Susanna is wondering, did you ask me to be here? And he says, "No, it was I did, but she wanted you to be here." And then Susanna says, "Do you think she suspects?" They've been having an affair. He goes up, goes into the bedroom, sees his wife, who's expecting him. They're both terrified for what's about to happen. And he has a syringe. And he administers a dosage. But that's not where the story ends. He comes down the stairs. He thinks Susanna is gone, but she's outside in the car. And she comes back inside. And he looks at Susanna and says, I need you. Secrets. The consequences of what we learn about each other. What do we do with them? How do we judge them? And this final story of last night, the story does not end here. Something happens in the morning. And what all these characters in all these stories have in common is they have a conscience. And it's really in the end the conscience that gets you. It's the conscience you have to live with certain things, with certain consequences, certain actions, things that we do. And they're all here in these stories. The story of us, which is really what these are. Chekhov, Salter, Kieslowski. Literature. Life. Thank you for viewing.